Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Coffee and Sports, the morning show on the Wire to Wire Network, man. I'm one of yours, Carmike, man, and I'm here with the NFL genius and Mo Better. NFL genius, how you doing this morning?
I can't be doing better. I feel like that you're getting a win at Buffalo. I love how we still complain winning at Buffalo, but good NFL Sunday. I'm in 6 fantasy football leagues. I was in the championship in all 6 of them. I'm going to win 4. I'm fired up, man. It's a very profitable weekend.
Yo, that's six of them is wild.
It is too much, but hey, listen, it's profitable.
Mo, how was your weekend, man? What's going on with you?
Great sports weekend. From watching college football, NBA, of course, the NFL is basically in playoff mode. Niners just won a shootout. I have no complaints. I'm a sports addict in sports addict heaven.
Oh man, let's talk about the Eagles and how they cannot execute in second half of games.
This is what I mean.
It did a flip flop last year. We struggled a little bit during the first half now, and we started turning up second half. Now we flip flop this season. Gene, let's talk about the Eagles heading into the playoffs, man, with second half struggles.
They won the game. What are we talking about? Why are we? Well, let's talk about the way you did that interlude. I thought they lost.
I mean, that defense, man, held up.
They played in a torrential downpour in Buffalo. Neither team moved the football, and they won a game at the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills.
They did.
And the first thing, let's talk about the Eagles, man. They can't really do anything.
Second half, they've been struggling all year with that.
Bro, they played conservative football. They're playing a vanilla offense. They are locked into the 2-3 game. That's where they're at. They don't need to show anything. They showed you the last 3 weeks that their offense is cured.
Hey, Mo, do you see this guy? Do you see this guy? What was he talking about for a few weeks ago, man? Oh, man, the Eagles, they just having so many problems. A.J. Brown, bop. And now he's like on the bandwagon, like we about to head to the Super Bowl with second half struggles, man. Yo, what's going on, man?
So that's the funny thing. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I think I had even more belief than Gene did. I've been consistent all year long. Even when the offense stinking it up, when playing well, I kept saying they find ways to win. They have a championship defense. And I think the offense will step up in the postseason. I still think the road to the Super Bowl goes through Philly. I've been consistent that way. It wasn't a pretty win last. Sometimes you get into these grinded out defensive battles. Hats off to the Bills defense for showing up. It was a tough, grinded out battle that the Eagles still won. I'm all about the win. It doesn't always have to be pretty, but if you win
all year for the Eagles, man.
I know, and look what their record is. You know what I'm saying? I'm still rocking with Philly. I'm going to be consistent. There's a lot of teams that look better on paper, but they haven't played the Eagles defense in the postseason. The Eagles they're going to be a problem.
Carmike, before you go, I need to just 1 second, please.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't listen to Wire to Wire that much, and that's okay. There was a moment that I talked about on Wire to Wire after the Eagles lost 3 straight games that I predicted they would lose. I predicted they would lose to Dallas. I predicted they would lose to Chicago. And I predicted they would lose to the Los Angeles Chargers. And then when everybody in Philadelphia was jumping off the Philadelphia bandwagon, I put out a post. There's a clip of it. You can view it on YouTube, wherever you like. Wherever you find podcasts, there's a clip. It's a very small clip, very easy to find, short. That I said the Philadelphia Eagles solved their problems. And I don't know if you know this, Carmike, but Big Dom, Jeffrey Lurie, A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts sat in a room before the Chargers game, and they had a conversation, and they fixed the problems that they had. Now, Monday night versus the Chargers, they had a lot of turnovers, but the offense looked like they were moving the ball efficiently. I came on and proclaimed on that Wednesday they would win 7 straight football games. I'm 3-0 in the picks. Call me Gene Stradamus. Whatever you want. I predicted them to win 7 straight football games.
Hey, I'm not wasn't never down the Eagles, man, but
I love
we not gonna win playoffs if we can't score the ball in the second half. The defense ain't gonna hold up against these teams in the playoffs like that. I don't believe it.
the Buffalo Bills have one of the best offenses in the league. And they held up versus them in Primark.
Bro, they was gassed out and they almost lost. And if Josh Allen didn't choke, because he overthrew the kid, because that was an easy route he put on that boy.
We're not going to pretend Tre'Davious White didn't hold AJ Brown's arm on a PI that would have ended.
I seen that, but they didn't call it. But we ain't talking about that. We talking about how the defense had to play majority of the game because all of us couldn't do nothing in the second half. They was barely moving the rock, right?
When you say nothing, they should have scored a touchdown, and AJ Brown's arm got held.
That one drive, Gene. That one drive.
Was that not in the second half?
How close did the defense get them the ball back for that to be set up? You see what I'm saying?
I get it.
The defense showing up for them, man, but the offense still got to execute in the second half.
Look, all I'm saying is, if they go into the postseason with a healthy Jalen Carter, look out. That's all I'm saying.
Jalen dog, man.
He's an absolute monster. He reminds me, and I think it's a high praise of the late great Jerome Brown. He's got that kind of ability.
I love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome one of our favorite guys on the network, man, Mr. Gardy. And why didn't he pop? There you go.
Got you, brother.
Gardy 3, what's up, man? How you doing this morning, brother? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
So we was just getting off Eagles in the second half struggles, man. Gene is Gene Stradamus now because he predicted they was gonna go 7 straight it's about to be 8 straight to clear out the season, man. Hopefully we could get the second seed. But how you feel about the Eagles, man, heading into the postseason, man, in that game last night?
I'd say you gotta feel great. They pulled out a tough victory. It wasn't easy. At the end of the day, it's still clear they got some things to try to fix and work on. But I like the direction they're headed. When you win 8 straight, that's a great feeling. So I'd say I'm liking where the Eagles are headed currently.
I want to correct that. They're not win 7 straight yet. I predicted they're going 7 straight is the 3 games that they've won next week versus the Commanders, and then 3 playoff games. Now that puts them
going to 7 straight.
Yes,
we're going to 7 straight.
They lost 3 straight. I picked all 3 of those losses. They've won 3 straight. I picked all 3 of those wins, and I'm predicting 4 more wins in a row, and then they'll go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but hey, listen. The best thing is if we can get that 2 seed and get that hobbled, beaten down Packers team in Philadelphia again. I'm kidding, Brad. I'm kidding.
Speaking of the Packers, since you are here, man, a 41-24 loss with a battle of the 2 backups, Malik Willis and Tyler Huntley.
Snoop.
Let's talk about that game, man. How you feel about your Packers heading into the postseason?
At the end of the day, I think our offense will end up being fine. I like our offense. I think our Achilles heel is going to be our defense, especially that pass rush. It's not good. Say Rashawn Gary needs to get off my team tomorrow. He's been exceptionally bad. After watching him getting completely blocked out of a play by an 185-pound wide receiver, yeah, that experience needs to end. But overall, I think it's going to be a situation kind of like last year in the Eagles game where you watch Green Bay compete in the playoffs, but it's just they're not going to have enough juice to close the deal. So I like where our offense is headed, but I think our defense is going to cost us come playoff time.
NFL genius, Ravens, Packers.
See, the part that threw me off in that game, and he's right about Rashawn Gary, but I couldn't believe how easy it was for the Ravens to run on them. And I know how good Derrick Henry is, but that offensive line has not been great all year. And one of the things that scared me about the Green Bay Packers, after making the Kenny Clark deal was their run defense. But when Micah Parsons there, the amount of attention that he grabbed eluded that. And Jeff Hafley has done a great job with that defense of getting them, they play a very good zone defense. So they're very good at attacking the football. Without Micah and then them having to keep Rashawn Gary on the field because they don't have an adequate pass rusher, it allows them to open up for that. I don't want to say the inside zone, but it's basically the off tackle rushing play over the left or right guard, in between the tackle and the guard. And they really struggled with that versus Derrick Henry and the Ravens. I mean, the whole world knew the Ravens were going to run the football. The Packers knew the Ravens were going to run the football, and they couldn't stop it. That's the part that scares me the most for Green Bay. I think Jordan Love will be fine. I think the Packers offense will be fine. I don't think they're going to be elite. And I'll say this, and nothing against Jordan Love. I wouldn't want to be the Packers if I'm down a score and he has the ball. He's not proven to have that last-minute drive to win a football game. He's a great front runner, but I've not seen him come from behind in significant situations. But all that being said, they have a good coach, they have a good D coordinator, and they have a good quarterback. If you have those three things, you can compete in the NFL playoffs.
Big Mo, let's talk about the Ravens Packers.
I think the Packers are very similar to the 49ers. They have a good defense, but they don't have a pass rush. And they don't have that one alpha guy that can make a play when they need to make a play defensively. Parsons is gone, and he made up for a lot of guys' mistakes. He made life easier for a lot of guys in that D-line. The fact that the Ravens ran the ball down their throat, that threw me too, because with Hundley under center, I don't think he's less of a passing threat than Lamar is, but in a lot of ways he looked better than Lamar. At least Lamar of the last few weeks. They had multiple design runs for him too as well. Like they literally just ran the ball down the Packers' throat the entire game, which is surprising because the Ravens' offense had been horrible the last few weeks. It was on life support, and they got to Green Bay, and suddenly they got well. So look, if I'm a Packers fan, I think you want to throw this game in the trash and just focus on the playoffs. But they're, like I said, I think they're in a similar situation with the 49ers. If they're going to advance in the playoffs, they're going to have to score points because I don't think they're going to be able to stop anybody.
And Mo, with the season winding down, man, we got two teams fighting for the last spot in the AFC, man, and that's the Ravens and Steelers, and it's coming down to week 18.
It's perfect.
Who you got taking it, man? Is it gonna be Lamar and the Ravens, or you got A-Rod about to make his last playoff run?
It's weird because I want Mike Tomlin to win, just because I'm a Mike Tomlin fan. But then there's a part of me that's like, maybe he needs to lose so this can be the parting of ways at some point. But Gene and I were talking about how the Ravens would walk the Steelers down early in the year. Well, they've walked them down. Where's the show off? It's a showdown. I would say going into this game, I'm going to favor the Ravens. I think the Ravens win. Here's the crazy part, though. If they're going to get Lamar, the current version of Lamar, who's just a straight line runner that can't really go to second or third gear, I don't know if that's good for them. Like at least Hundley can open up and run, like really use his legs. Lamar is hampered. He hasn't looked like Lamar Jackson in weeks. If he's not going to be Lamar Jackson at 100%, then I would go with Hundley. And look, the Steelers don't have a great defense. I would go into that game thinking, Derrick Henry, you're going to carry the ball 40 times. At least 40 times. The Steelers don't have a great deal. Just run it down their throats. I think the Ravens win a close game.
NFL genius weigh in.
Well, no TJ Watt. He's a long shot to play. Lamar has less than a 50% chance to play by, most reports. This is not the Ravens and Steelers of old. This might be Snoop Huntley versus a broken down, beaten Steelers defense. And, one thing that comes to mind is Do you think the Steelers could have used DeCarrion? And I'm going to call him by his full name. He could have really been used yesterday. That last play of the game, that basically fade route in the end zone. That ball's thrown to DeCarrion. I think the Steelers win that football game versus the Browns. But it wasn't. And he wasn't there. And the Browns beat the Steelers. Shedeur Sanders, a half-witted offense, no running back to be spoke of, beat the Steelers yesterday. So if you don't think Snoop Huntley and Derrick Henry, Kyle Hamilton, and Roquan Smith can't do the same thing, I'll go with the Ravens. But whoever wins this game, I think they're a very quick first-round exit.
Oh, I agree.
Guardy, weigh in. Steelers Ravens, man, for the last spot.
Anyway, I can pick neither team, and we can just send somebody else. Look, I think at the end of the day, it'll be a football game that happened. I don't know if it's going to be a very good one. It's going to be very fast paced because we're going to watch Derrick Henry get 30+ carries. I'm assuming we say. It'll be interesting. I think we're going to watch Mike Tomlin just absolutely sell out to stop the run, which will make this a low-scoring affair. But you know what? I'll put faith in my guy Aaron Rodgers to get one last playoff run in. So I'll take the Steelers in a really ugly, low-scoring game that you're going to wish that neither team made the playoffs. So,
real quick, Carmike. Before we get out, let me give a shout out to Derrick Henry. 32 years old, having what some people would call a down year. A down year, the guy's got over 1,300 rushing yards, averaging 5 yards a carry. That's insane longevity and excellence at the running back position on the other side of 30 that you don't see on a regular basis. So shout out to Derrick Henry.
Let me ask you this, Mo. You don't think a lot of them yards this year was empty calories, man?
He's a running back in this current NFL. They're not empty I would say a lot of the passing yards you see in the NFL are empty calories, but what he does, I don't think so. And look, the funny thing is, if it wasn't for the fumbling issues that he's had off and on throughout the season, I don't even think we would mention that he's having a down year. Like, think about 1,300 yards, and there's still another game to play. That's amazing to me for a 32 for any running back, but he's 32 years old with a lot of miles on that body. That's impressive.
I mean, Jory said it best. Jory said the Ravens remembered they had a Hall of Fame running back.
Indeed, he is a Hall of Fame running back. But since we brought it up, the Steelers losing to the Browns, man, what do you expect going forward for the Browns? Is Shedeur about to get him an actual starting spot next year? Gene, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, I think at least he's earned the opportunity to compete for a starting spot. Is that fair? I don't think he's been great. Like, they scored 13 points yesterday.
They did.
He threw 2 awful interceptions yesterday. He wasn't good. He hasn't been good in any game outside the Raiders, who are actively trying to lose football games. Like, other than that, he wasn't good in any game this year. I think that there's a huge, I guess, wind behind him that wants him to succeed. So you're going to hear them talk about him a ton. And there's also a huge wind going in the other direction that wants him to fail, and they're going to negatively criticize him. I think he's been fair. Can I just say he's been a C? He's not been an F. He hasn't been an A. I think they should give him an opportunity to compete for the starting job. But if you're the Cleveland Browns and you're in a position to get one of these blue chip prospects coming out, Dante Moore falls into your lap, are you not taking him? Are you, let's gamble with a season of Shedeur Sanders. Like, we know Fernando Mendoza is going to the Raiders, but if Dante Moore falls to them at 6 or 7, wherever they land up, are you not taking Dante Moore over Shedeur Sanders? Because I am 100 times after 100.
I mean, do we really think that the Browns need to draft another quarterback to add to their long list of quarterbacks who failed in Cleveland?
Do you think Shedeur Sanders is a franchise quarterback?
I think it's something you could build off of, man. Plus, he has the crowd because once Shador went out and Dylan Gabriel had to come in, they booed him off the field. So he got the crowd behind him in Cleveland. So I would say build around him a little bit and give put some more weapons in Cleveland and see how it goes. But that's just me. I mean, who's gonna put butts in your seats, man? Besides Shador is as man for Cleveland, But that's Mo. What you think, man? Shador starting position next year.
I think I'm with Gene. I think he's done enough to where he gets a fair shot to be the starter next year, but I don't think he walks in as a starter. I think it's an open quarterback competition. He hasn't been horrible, but he hasn't been great. He's definitely got more picks than he has touchdown passes. That's just a reality, and he does hold on to the football too long. I do agree that they do need to add some playmakers on the outside. Look, that they have a great elite defense. If they can get a comparable offense to go with the defense, Cleveland's a playoff team. They can be relevant. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. I think there's more questions than answers at their quarterback position. The only thing I know is I think Shador's proven he can play at this level. The only question is he a starting quarterback or is he a career backup? And I don't think we've answered that yet.
Yeah, Mo, what would you think if they brought in like a guy like Jacoby Brissett and it was Brissett and Shador competed for the job? Jacoby Brissett's played great for Arizona, but it's very obvious Arizona is going to cut ties with Cliff Kingsbury after the season's over.
Did Brissett play for the Browns before?
I don't remember if he played for the Browns. I know he played for the Patriots. I know he's played across the league, so he might have played for the Browns before.
Played for the Colts.
Played for the Colts.
I love the idea, though.
He did. In 2022, he played for the Cleveland Browns.
A proven veteran quarterback who can run your offense, do the system, and maybe some of his professionalism can rub off on Shador, who could use a little bit of that. So
that was exactly the point that I was getting. Exactly what you just said. That is – sorry.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. That's why you're an NFL genius. I think Jacoby Brissett – one, he would give Shador competition, but I think he'd be a great influence on him.
Guardy, weigh in. Shador Sanders starting spot next year.
So if they come in with like the same exact quarterback room that they did this past year, then honestly at that point, just run him back another year as the starter. Because I think he's already proven he's better than Dylan Gabriel. But that being said, I do agree with the sense that I don't think he's been good enough that you just leave this as, hey, this is just Shador Sanders' starting spot. I do agree with bringing in competition. And if he beats out competition, like Gene mentioned, Jacoby Brissett, somebody among that, caliber of quarterback, then I think that would be kind of a perfect scenario for him. Like I said, I think he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good enough to lock in his starting spot. But if you bring in the same QB room as this past year, yeah, you're running Shador Sanders back as a starter. But if a blue chip quarterback falls into your lap, then I think you really have to strongly consider that option for wherever that pick lands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I made a little goof. I said Cliff Kingsbury. I meant Jonathan Gannon. Cliff Kingsbury was already fired by the
Cardinals. So we have Chiefs Kingdom, man, had a little battle with their backup quarterback. Mo, I want to talk about because Mahomes is projected to come back in September of 2026, week 1. Where did the Chiefs go from here, man? And do you see Travis Kelce coming back because he had a god-awful season? They had a god-awful season this year.
So, yeah, they had a down season. Kelce, if you look at his numbers, he actually had a pretty good year. He had a better year than I thought he was going to have. But does he have more football in him at that level? Because you're only getting older. You're not going to get better. You're getting older. I think the Chiefs have to go out and really hit it really well this draft. I think they've got to fix that offensive line. They've got to get some playmakers. And I don't just mean on the outside. They got to get a running back that's like somebody special that can make a play. They've been having just average backs for the longest time. They need to do anything they can to take less of the weight off of Patrick Mahomes' shoulder. Remember, this is also Patrick Mahomes coming off a major injury. So I'd be very cautious if I was Chiefs Kingdom that they think they can just turn around and run him back. I think they've got a lot of work to do. I think the good thing is you have Spags. You still have one of the top defenses in football. It's about the offense. Look, Andy Reid is still a great play caller, but they don't have a lot of talent to me offensively outside of Patrick Mahomes. I like Rashee Rice, I do, but I'm not one of those people that look at him and convinced he's a number one receiver. I think he's a really good receiver, but I think he's more of a 2 than a 1. So
you don't think he's the number one receiver even with playing half the season?
No, I think he's the number one receiver on that team. He's the best receiver on that team. I'm just saying, if you put Rashee Rice on, say, the Cowboys, he's not better than Pickens or CeeDee Lamb. He's the number one receiver on the Chiefs. Sort of like the guy that everybody loves. What's the running back's name? Pacheco.
Everybody love Pacheco?
Right. If you need 3 yards, give it to Pacheco. If you need 4 yards, he's gonna get you 3 yards. Like he's just a guy. He's a nice guy, but
running back. I think they need more of a receiving back, like Aaron Jones type of style or Kamara.
Right, but what do those dudes both do? They're good running backs, but they're terrific wide receivers. I'm just saying they need playmakers other than what they have. Their offense has been, I'd say, below average the last 3 years. They won a Super Bowl and strengthened their defense. But I just don't think the formula they've been getting by on, that's over with. They've got to go out and do some hard work. They got to do the hard thing that they haven't had to do in years, and that's to go out and kind of have a mini rebuild, if you will. And I think it all centers around with how healthy Mahomes is going to be when he comes back and what he looks like when he comes back. Because, again, he's never dealt with coming off a major injury. This is going to be different for him.
NFL Gene's way in on Chiefs Kingdom.
I mean, you can't keep missing on offensive prospects. So if you go back to their draft history, they drafted Mecole Hardman in the 2nd round. That's a bust. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 1st round. That's a bust. They drafted
they did enough. They got Super Bowls with them, man.
They drafted Sky Moore in the 2nd round. That's a bust. They drafted Rashee Rice in the 2nd round, which is a good pick. And then they drafted Xavier Worthy in the 1st round, which is, hear me out, a bust.
100%.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce can give you a lot and make up for a lot of those mistakes. You can't keep failing at drafting offensive skill position players. Their running back room is bottom 10 in football. Their wide receiver room is bottom 10 in football. Their offensive line is bottom 10 in football. And you've been constantly bailed out of that situation because you have Patrick Mahomes. And it's caught up to them. I think the Chiefs are in for another really bad year next year. And this is coming from the guy that they won 10 straight divisions. I said they're not going to win the division. I said they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I'll say it again next year. They might win 7 games.
You don't think they're going to bounce back, man?
No. Too many problems.
Hey, Gene, let me ask you a question real quick, Gene.
Yes, sir.
If they have the year that you think they're going to have next year, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, when they do eventually have to rebuild or turn it around, is Big Red going to be there?
If Big Red wants to be there, he'll be there. I mean, I think that he's bought himself enough clout. 3 Super Bowls get you enough cachet to have a couple bad seasons, especially without your star quarterback. I think Big Red, if he wants to keep coaching football, will keep coaching football. I still think he's a good coach, but it's the same thing that happened in Philadelphia. And Carmike, you can back me up with this. Andy Reid gets too ingrained in the personnel, and he starts making the draft picks, and guess what happens? And seriously, go look at those Eagles teams. Todd Pinkston, James Thrash. Do you remember these wide? Freddie Mitchell. He drafted FredEx in the 1st round.
I want to take my hands.
Yeah.
He's done this for years to when he gets too involved in the kitchen. Just fucking call the offense. Just be the head coach. Stop trying to do everything when you don't need to.
Hey, man, who don't want to draft your own guys, man? You know what I mean?
Well, he's not good at it. I mean, it's obvious. Hey, you lined him up against the wall, and we're like, all right, well, he's obviously not picking the defensive players. That's Spagnuolo. They're doing well. Theo Chanel and all those guys. Isaiah McDuffie, great. When you line up the offensive guys and you go Sky Moore, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mecole Hardman, Xavier Worthy, and you go, what happened here?
All of them got Super Bowls except Xavier.
It doesn't matter if they have a Super Bowl.
Sky Moore is James Thrash.
Wait, doesn't Sky Moore got two? Because he played with Brady.
No, Sky Moore never played with Brady.
Who was it? Oh, it was somebody else then. I know it was one of them. One of them type of.
You said James Thrash. I hadn't heard that name.
I mean, that's what the Eagles were. They signed. This is Mo. I'll give you a blast from the past. They signed the St. Louis Rams slot receiver Kevin Curtis to be their number one wide receiver. You guys remember Kevin Curtis?
I remember that. I remember him. They thought he was what's the boy's name right now that plays for he's on Pittsburgh now. He's kind of done now, but dang.
Oh, Adam Thielen?
Yeah, they thought he was gonna be like Thielen. I remember that. I remember Kevin Curtis. That's funny.
Gardy, weigh in on Chiefs Kingdom.
So I think I definitely think next year is going to be a down year. It's just kind of I think they got to restock the cupboards on offense on multiple fronts. I think you need to add some more to the line. I think you need another playmaker on the outside. I think the biggest mistake that the Chiefs, one of the biggest mistakes the Chiefs can make this offseason, though, they're going to have a nice draft pick. They lose on next Sunday. They have a real shot at the 8th pick. Otherwise, they'll probably settle somewhere between 9 and 11. I just would hate to see them attempt to force a pick and draft somebody that, at a position of need, maybe instead of best player available. I still think you take maybe the best offensive player available, whether that be a lineman, because I can see them very much trying to attempt to force a wide receiver here at, pick 9. So this is a draft pick that I think is going to be very important to them. If they come back and let's say they do end up winning, 8-9 games and fall back closer to the middle of the draft, you got Patrick Mahomes back. There's no guarantee you're gonna get another pick this high. I think they will, but I do think it's very vital that they hit on this top 10 pick that they'll have, because it's not a guarantee they're gonna get one next year. So I think they got a lot of holes to fill, and I think it'll take a couple years to fix them all.
They should draft Jeremiah Love. That's who they should draft.
NFL Genius, we have one more spot available, and it's on the NFC side. And the Dolphins always win games they got no business winning, and they pulled it out against the Buccaneers yesterday. So now the Bucs is coming down to the Bucs and the Panthers fighting for the spot, man. Talk to me about the Dolphins against the Bucs, man, and then what you think about this game coming up next week.
The Buccaneers have now lost. Stop me when you hear this. 7 of their last 8 games. They've lost to Miami, Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans in that stretch. What in the world makes anyone think that the Bucs, and they're favored versus Carolina next week? I don't care if it's at home. Carolina's winning that football game. And everyone's going to look at it like, well, they got Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin. And you're going to hear all that. And I'm telling you right now, the Carolina Panthers are going to win next week. They're going to win next week. They fell apart. They look like the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles. Fell apart.
Indeed, they did. They did. Gardy.
There's 2 ways to go about this one, right? Because I watch enough Carolina Panthers to know that things never go the way the Panthers want them to go, like 99% of the time. So one of 2 things is going to happen. Either A, the Panthers are going to win very decisively, or B, that Mike Evans 253 touchdown game is going to hit like a shotgun to the chest. So I'll let you decide which one's going to happen, but I have no faith in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans is doing his best, JJ McCarthy impersonation for half a season. I know he's been dealing with the shoulder injury, but if it's been bothering him that much, he shouldn't be out there. I get he wants to soldier through it, but though with his performance, you can't really justify him doing that. So I got the Carolina Panthers as well. I do think that they make it, and I really hope that it's the Panthers because at least maybe the wild card game will be competitive.
Mo, Buccaneers.
Look, I've always been a Baker fan, so I'll take the L. I really thought coming into this season that they were going to walk away with that division, and maybe he's more injured than he's letting on. That might explain how bad he's played. He's played bad. Nobody said that. They said the Bucs have lost. They're not as good. They certainly have had their share of injuries, and Baker has soldiered through, but he hasn't played well by soldiering through. And there's no reason to believe that they're going to go win a showdown versus Carolina, who I think right now is the better football team. I hate saying this because I'm always on the Baker train. I think Tampa Bay is going to lose at home. They're going to lose a division. They're not going to make the playoffs.
You don't think Baker going to pull out that Baker magic, man?
No, I think the Baker magic is for next season.
I see. One thing I just want to add: what happened to Emeka Egbuka? The guy was the runaway offensive rookie of the year, and then they just stopped using him. Does he have did he do something internally? I don't understand why you stopped using the guy that was the runaway offensive rookie of the year. I watched them play yesterday. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan got more snaps than Emeka Egbuka. They just don't throw to him anymore. The guy didn't forget how to play football. He knows how to play. He's a very good wide receiver. They just stopped throwing him the football.
I can't call it, man. I don't know, but Ibuka was winning a lot of games for them, especially on some deep throws during the season, man. He was clutching it up.
Guess what? There's such thing as changing of the guard. I think what Baker's problem is Mike Evans came back and he felt obligated to get Mike Evans targets. And Mike Evans is going to be in the Hall of Fame, great player, but I don't think he's their best wide receiver right now. And I think you got to throw the ball to your best playmaker.
You got to get Mike Evans at 1,000 yards, man. He ain't missed a season.
Emeka Egbuka led the team in receiving yards 2 weeks ago versus the Carolina Panthers with 2 targets. I want to read that again. Led them in receiving yards with 2 targets.
2 targets.
Come on, man. Stupid.
That's your playmaker.
Mo, let's talk about the collapse of the Lions, man. Down the stretch, man, they went 1-5 after losing to the Vikings yesterday, man. What's going on with the Lions?
Just a collapse, but then I didn't think they were going to win the division anyway. I thought it was going to be a down year. It's been a down year. The NFL genius predicted they would not make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. And I think that every team, when they're really, really good and really, really relevant, they have a run and they have a window. I think Detroit had this window and they never got over that hump during that window. And I'm not saying they can't turn around and be good next year because they have way too much talent in their offense not to be relevant. But their division that they're in, the teams around them are getting better. I think Detroit, they're going to be back to mediocrity. And by the way, look, I don't want to nitpick, but I've never been a big Jared Goff fan. Never. I'm being consistent. As much as I ride the Baker train, I don't get it with Jared Goff. I don't see it. I think he's a great front runner. I think when things are really well, he looks elite, and when things are challenging, he looks like Jared Goff. I think Detroit's cooked for a couple of years.
Damn, couple? Sheesh. Gardy weighing Lions. What happened to them?
I'm starting to think, I'm taking a different approach to this, because I'm starting to think that maybe their identity is becoming a problem. And what I mean by that is for the last 2 years, the Lions and Dan Campbell like playing this aggressive, physical style of defense and offense. Well, the last 2 years in a row now, we were watching them drop like flies to a point where they didn't have any bodies left against the Commanders. What happened again this year? offensive lines hurt so bad they almost brought Frank Ragnow back, who had a grade 3 hamstring strain coming off the couch. And then the secondary pieces started dropping like flies again. I'm starting to think that they really need to lock in on building up a ton of depth because they like playing this physical style of football. But this is the second year in a row where we can talk about the offense. It was a top 3 offense like all year. It was an elite offense pretty much all year. Defense, it tried to hold itself together, but the injuries caught up to them. So I think this is a team that they really need to build out their depth because I think they could be back next year. But if they want to play this physical brand of football, I don't want to say they got to work on maybe getting a bit more. I don't want to say the lines players aren't tough, but they got to get tougher. Or the more realistic option is this is a team I think that's got to build up a ton more depth if they want to be as physical and aggressive if they have been.
NFL genius weighing on the lines.
I need one pride to check in. I need him to check in because beginning of the season, I was told Johnny Morton, he was the guy that really ran the show behind Ben Johnson's offense, and their offense wouldn't skip a beat with John Morton as their offensive coordinator instead of Ben Johnson. And when I said they lost both coordinators and they were going to struggle because of it, I was told, nope, John Morton really ran that offense, and he's a lot better. Look at the difference at the Ravens game. With Ben Johnson, they only scored 6 points, but with John Morton, they scored 35. I was told over and over and over again about how John Morton, and then 8 weeks into the season, Dan Campbell goes, I'm calling the plays. This guy stinks. That's what I was told. Oh, let's take it a step further. I'm going to give you guys an understanding. The greatest coaches to ever coach in the NFL, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, Bill Walsh. These guys aren't rah-rah, in-your-face guys. And when that message, I need you guys to give me everything you have and believe me, we'll be there at the end. It really runs stale and runs dry if you're hearing that message over and over again. And what you're seeing is that the Detroit Lions really get stale on their coach, Dan Campbell. That's what's happening. The bread was out too long. It wasn't in the pantry. It's got hard. It's turning green. It's no longer good bread. Dan Campbell can motivate anyone for a year, 2 years, 3 years. But after 5 years of hearing Dan Campbell say, guys, just give me everything you have. And in the end, we're going to be winners. And then every year, year after year, they just, we're not winners. I'm sorry.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I just thought about that because Dan Campbell is like, if he's your coach, like that means like every game is like Saving Private Ryan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like everything can't be life or death every game. So that's got to wear on you over time.
Mo, you remember last year, the last game of the season, that meant nothing to the Detroit Lions? I'm sorry, it was for the 1 seed. That two games before the last game of the season, they played against the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. And everybody was like, they should rest their starters because no matter what happens this game, the next week versus Minnesota is the game. And the Lions are like, Monday Night Football, short week. No, we're going to go out there and we're going to beat the 49ers. We're going to just jam it down. And they won the game, like 42-35. Do you remember the game? Next week, they beat the Minnesota Vikings. And then they went into the playoffs and exhaled and got the shit kicked out of them by Washington. Because you can only get a team so hyped so many times.
Moving on, fellas. I'm going to start with you on this, Mo. I want to know who is your biggest overachieving team this year and who is your biggest disappointment?
Overachieving team?
There's a lot of them.
There are
Just one. Just one.
You know what? I'll be a homer. I think my team is overachieving. With all the injuries they've had, our best player, Fred Warner, gone. George Kittle, one of our best players, been in and out of the lineup all year. Purdy's only played like 6 or 7 games. We've lost linemen, D linemen, and I'm gonna give our D coordinator solid credit. I'm gonna give head coach credit. They've held the team together. I think the Niners, I know they've had a soft schedule, but when you have that many injuries to be where they're at, I'm gonna say they overachieved.
What was your biggest disappointment?
I mean, I don't really have a disappointment. I guess if I'm gonna pick because I wanted him to do well, I always pick and root for Joe Burrow. So I think they're a disappointment.
Guardy, biggest overachieving team and disappointment.
So Mo actually took my overachieving team. It's the San Francisco 49ers. It's tough to argue against them. So I'll throw another team out there. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think anybody expected the leap that they made this year.
That's a good one.
Trevor Lawrence has looked, terrific. Liam Cohen's got these guys ready to play. So I think at best people are talking about, maybe this is the team that was going to be maybe a wild card team. They're third. They're third in the AFC. So you got to respect it. Disappointing team. Baltimore. Cincinnati. Pittsburgh. Take your pick. I'll personally go with Baltimore. I think that they've been a major disappointment. Even if they win the division, almost do it in the way that they did was really disappointing. This was a team I thought would come in and they do their regular season gimmick and win like 12 or 13 games before inventing a new disappointing way to lose in the playoffs. But instead, they're having to scrap their way into a Week 18 winner-take-all game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to go with Baltimore for disappointing.
NFL genius, weigh in.
Brett stole my most overachieving team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I say that because I like to gloat because I picked them to win the division. But he also stole my most disappointing team, the Baltimore Ravens. So in the interest of me being able to pick something different, I will. Most overachieving team. How about the New England Patriots? The highest odds to win the division in the NFL before the season started was the Buffalo Bills at minus 400. That means you had to bet $400 to win $100 if you picked the Bills to win the division. You could have bet the rest of the division, the field, and made money. And the New England Patriots won the division handily with 13 wins. They'll win 14 games next week. Drake May's been incredible. I think that's an overachieving team. You want to talk about underachieving team? I like the Ravens in that, but I'll give you someone different. When I say underachieving team, I don't mean by record or wins wise. I just mean by their performance and the culture and what they're doing. And I'm going to say Las Vegas Raiders. If you watched last night's game and the week leading up to what happened, they should be ashamed of themselves. Max Crosby, they put him on IR and said he's hurt. He's putting videos out. Your best player is putting videos out on YouTube of him playing basketball and dunking and going nuts, saying he's not injured. Brock Bowers is put on IR. He's saying he can play. The Raiders absolutely tanked down the stretch, and they're a disappointment of a friend. If you watch that game yesterday, there's a play that I wish that you guys could just go back and watch. It should be on every fail YouTube video. The Giants lined up for a 4th and 1, and I think the idea was to draw them off sides. They didn't even fake the snap count before the Raiders jumped off sides. It was so obvious they were trying to lose that football game. It was embarrassing. It's an embarrassment to the league. It's an embarrassment to the organization. And for the billions of dollars that were spent to bring the Raiders to Las Vegas, it's an embarrassment to that fan base.
NFL genius, give me your MVP for this year. And I think it's out of Drake May, Bo Nix, Josh Allen, and Matthew Stafford.
Bo Nix and Josh
Allen. It ain't Bo Nix.
Bo Nix and Josh Allen don't belong anywhere near that conversation. The question is it Matt Stafford or Drake May? And I'm going to be the person that's on the other side of the coin. And I know it's not going to win. The winner is going to be Matt Stafford. I don't agree with it. I've been calling for Drake May MVP since week 6. I think Drake May is the MVP of football this year. I think another 5 touchdown performance. I think he was like 11 for 13 with a perfect passer rating and 260 yards in one half of football. Like I'm just doing those stats off the top of my head. I could be wrong. Yeah, 256, 19 of 21, and 5 touchdown passes yesterday with a 157 quarterback rating. Drake May has been incredible this year, and I don't think he's getting the credit he deserves. And listen, I bragged about 4 or 5 times on this show about the times I was right. You know where I was wrong? Drake May. Drake May and Brock Purdy are the 2 cases where I can stand up on a podium as loud as I can and say I was wrong. These guys are good football players.
Mo, who's your MVP vote?
Mine would go to Drake May. I just think he's been the most consistent, dynamic quarterback throughout the season. And look, nothing against Stafford. Look, the old man can fling the football, and the Rams have a prolific offense. But I think this MVP should be Drake May's to lose. So my vote would go to Drake May and the Patriots.
Gordy, who's your MVP vote?
I think the answer is I would go Matthew Stafford. I think it's a very close race. It's razor thin. You can go either way. That being said, I think the big difference to me, and I'm going to end up sounding like a college football pundit, I guess, is strength of schedule. Matthew Stafford has put up very similar stats to Drake May. They're very close, but I think the difference is Matthew Stafford has done it against a lot tougher of a schedule. I think Drake May will be in this race, and he will end up winning an MVP. But I think Matthew Stafford will be the MVP this year, and I think it's absolutely the right call.
That's a good analogy. You know what? And that's my division. I actually, that's a strong point, Brett. You're right. Just within his division, it's been the best division, and he's done what he's done. So yeah, that's a strong case. It doesn't change my vote, but that's a really strong case.
Let me ask you this, NFL genius: are we in a quarterback overloaded era, or is the elite quarterback play just is overrated?
No, I think offensive coordinators are learning how to scheme players open and find players that are right for their scheme. A perfect example is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams last night looked like an MVP. And last year, he looked like a bust. I'm serious. When you find the right people, guys, I don't mean to say this to be rude. Brock Purdy has really developed into a good quarterback. But I think Kyle Shanahan can turn Carmike into a serviceable quarterback in the NFL. You have the right offensive minds and teach these guys where to go and where to look on the football field and where to throw the football. And they're schematically scheming people open. Absolutely. Look at Daniel Jones this year. Daniel Jones isn't a good quarterback, but he looked good under Shane Steichen, who has a history of making quarterbacks look. Shane Steichen made Carson Wentz an MVP. But no one wants to talk about that.
Indeed. Mo, what you think?
I kind of lean towards Gene. I guess, especially since I've seen it firsthand. Brock Purdy goes down. Mac Jones comes in. Mac Jones look better than Brock Purdy. That's gotta be Shanahan. That's gotta be scheme. In our system, with the way they play call, you really could switch out Mac Jones for Brock Purdy, and you get the same production. And I'm not knocking Brock. I'm just giving Shanahan his props.
Gardy, weigh in.
Yeah, I think I do think absolutely, completely agree 100% with the scheme. And I think another thing you kind of watch with a lot of these more modern quarterbacks is they're quicker to use their athleticism. And I think that's a big difference between a lot of quarterbacks now and especially back in the day. Now it's like every quarterback can run. And back, then we had guys like even like your mid-tier guys like Carson Palmer and would, sit there trying to manipulate the defense using, their mind and doing all these pre-snap adjustments. But now with how good schemes are, you don't really have a lot of you don't have a ton of mind games, which is why when guys like Philip Rivers, for example, they're gushing over him, going to the line, calling out all these dummy counts and everything. Like that's something that's few and far between nowadays. But I think that's kind of the biggest maybe the biggest difference between quarterbacks. It's all about fitting in a scheme, and they're more more using their legs and not so much playing mind games like you saw back in the day.
Hey, Carmike, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How many quarterbacks in the current NFL do you think walk up to the line of scrimmage and they do things the way even Aaron Rodgers, this version of him, does? Very few quarterbacks have that command of their offense right now in this current NFL where they can walk up, dissect what they see is coming, call their own. Like so many of the quarterbacks right now, they'll run what the offensive coordinator calls. Like I'm not saying they don't see the game, but I don't think they have the command the way guys did in the past.
Now, do you think it's select few that can do that, but you got to have a sharp mind to do that. I know Patrick Mahomes is one of them.
It's a short list.
Yes, they don't want like they try to loosen the string for certain, like Lamar Jackson. You could tell he was trying to run the offense earlier in this year, and it was failing. And then when they tried to pull back the reins on him, he didn't like it. So it's a short list, man. But off the top of my head, I think it's just Patrick Mahomes and probably Aaron Rodgers. But
Can I answer?
No, go ahead.
No, go. You go.
No, I was just gonna say I would say it's a short list of quarterbacks like that. So Mahomes, I'm sure Joe Burrow's in that list. Josh Allen probably has some liberties. I don't think there's a long list of quarterbacks. I'm sure Stafford's one of those guys. There's not a long list of quarterbacks who have who can do what they can do in terms of walking up and having command of their offense.
Yeah, I know this. They don't do it like they used to. But
I'm sure when he wrote this question, he said, "So where Kyler work and Shane Steichen or Kyle Shanahan's scheme." I'm sure when he wrote this question, he was trying to combat what I just said. And it's okay. I want to give you something that it's going to make you go. It's going to blow your mind. Tua led the league in passing in 2023 in a system that was passed down by Kyle Shanahan to Mike McDaniel. He led the league in passing yards. He stinks. Yes. If Tua, now Kyler Murray is not coachable. It's totally different. But if Tua was in Kyle Shanahan's system, he would work fine.
I agree.
So with Quinn Ewers, looks like he's trying to get him a spot because he's.
Yep.
Do you think the Dolphins are going to move away from Tua next year?
Yep. Hey, go back to our Guardy 3 will remember this. He was on our show when we did the draft watch along. No, he wasn't. He was at the draft. I apologize. We talked about it on sideline to sideline. All the quarterbacks that came out this year, Carmike, I said Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback coming out this year. Better than Shador, better than Dylan Gabriel, better than Jackson Dart, better than Cam Ward. I said Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback coming out this year. After yesterday, do you think I could be right?
Possibly. He showed.
All I want possibly.
He showed us some promise to be. He could possibly be a starter next year for somewhere, either Miami or somewhere else.
Why not Miami?
It'll be Miami.
Miami love Tua. Huh?
No, they don't.
I say I think
Miami doesn't even love Tua.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our time, and we appreciate everybody stopping through in the comments and everything. Please come back tomorrow and the rest of the week as we have all the shows lined up. NFL Genius, you have anything for our closing people today?
No, just fun show, fun talking sports. Great to get back to the morning show. I'm ready to enter in a new year and continue watching NFL football. I'm looking forward to another fun game on Monday Night Football with Rams versus Falcons. That'll be a good football game to watch, especially in Atlanta. But I really appreciate talking football with you guys.
Guardy 3, you got any closing remarks for our people?
Yeah, one, Damien, I think you just kind of put out the reason why Tua will still be on the Dolphins next year. Money. But hey, make sure to tune in to On the Ball podcast tonight. It'll be me, Kyle, and we're bringing a special guest on. So definitely look forward to that. And of course, tune into the Meaty Boys podcast later tonight with Mo and I.
Yep.
And as always, if you know better, you do better. Closes out.
Hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.